All right, so it's time to move on to this torso. So I'm going to go to the IK version of the spine, and I'm going to move it around so you can see what we have. It's behaving pretty well for the most part. There are some weird artifacts that just need to be smoothed out. But the main problem is happening around this chest area. Let me show you what the weighting looks like. If this was a male character, it's very easy to understand that the chest, or most of the pectoralis region, goes with the chest joint, right? So if I click on this chest, for a male character, all the pectoralis area will go with the chest. But with a female character, there's breast tissue hanging. So you have to decide whether you want that breast tissue to be distributed to the spine underneath it, or if you want it to go with the chest. For me, I think I want the entire breast tissue to move with the chest, because it really does produce some weird effects if you rotate the chest. I don't want any deformation happening in the middle of the breast. I'd rather that the breast go with the chest. So I'm going to go in here, and one of the first things I'm going to do is start letting the chest take influence of most of these vertices that have been taken by the spine. Now, I could start by first taking influence away from this spine joint and just seeing where the system reassigns it. It's worth a try, so I might start there. Let me just isolate this torso area so I can focus. I'm going to do a grower selection and isolate it. I think it will do the sensible thing. It'll more than likely give it to the chest. So I'll start with this spine joint, and I'll go into subtract and just start taking away. Maybe I'll use the next brush over. Actually, I shouldn't even be painting on the other side. I should be painting here because I'm mirroring from here. So always have to remember we're just painting one half. I'm going to go right underneath the breast tissue right there. Take it away. Go to the others. Okay, it looks like it wants to assign most of it to the spine joint underneath it. So if I go back here, yeah, at least it's not putting it back there. But this is just one way you can go. I can even just go or give it all to the chest, or subtract and see where it puts it. I think it'd probably be smarter to just give it to the chest. This is just, I just want to see how smart the system is with these reassignments. Sometimes you get what you want, sometimes things don't work out too well. All right, so it's not there. You didn't give it to them. You didn't give it to them, and most of it is with the chest. So that's good. That's very smart for it to do that. So I'm just going to do some smoothing and see what it's behaving like. Now, I should point out that I've been getting a lot of freezes on my computer whilst trying to record this and skinning at the same time. I guess this mesh is more expensive to skin than I thought, because it has been freezing a lot. So if you run into the same issue, just know that yeah, this is it's a costly mesh to skin when you go with significantly more topology. All right, let me take a look at what I have as far as the chest is concerned. Yeah, that's a little better. Definitely better than the other side, but it looks like I might have to take a lot more of the breast tissue than I planned. I cannot be right under it. I have to make sure the whole thing comes along, or I have to make sure I do some pretty good smoothing here. Let me take a look at it. See what it's doing. Okay, that explains what it's doing. So another assignment that I don't particularly want, so I'm going to take it away. Yeah, that's a lot better. Yeah, it makes it feel like a rib cage, but I don't want that. I am going to be using a custom muscle system, or sorry, a sculpt deformer to do a rib impression. So that's something we can also look forward to doing. It's going to be a really fun corrective deformation. Yeah, it does make it feel like a rib cage, but I don't want that. I definitely want most of this to go with the chest. So I'm going to make sure the chest gets what it's supposed to get from this. Everything that's breast tissue should go with the chest. So I'll start erasing influence from the spine. Yeah, until I get I'm gonna go back to my IK spine just to try this out. Make sure I don't have any of those artifacts. Looking more on this side. Just a few more artifacts that need to be dealt with, I feel. And if I rotate the chest, this is back in FK mode, by the way. Yeah, I have to be careful with this. It looks like it's taking a majority of the breast tissue, but I might need to allow the chest to take a little bit more or do a better blending between this. But this is where we started. What you have on the other side is where we started. So that's with it taking part of the breast tissue. So I'm going to go back here and I suppose and release more influence from this spine joint, or just smooth and see if I get, yeah, I think smoothing is enough because I've given enough influence to the chest. I have to be careful not to judge it from the topology and focus more on what it feels like. When I look at the geometry, so that's what it looks like. Yeah, just some more smoothing for better distribution, and I'll make a judgment after that. All right, so I ended up giving a majority of the space underneath the breast tissue also to the chest, right? And that's what makes it look the best, right? It doesn't look wrong anymore. So looks like just the breast tissue for the most part has to move with this chest, right? So just and pretty much most of the vertices underneath it. So right underneath here, a lot of these were given to the chest. So right now it's just some smoothing to do just to blend it better. And I think that's it for this torso area. Everything else seems to be working okay. Yeah, it looks good. I do want to point out that there will be a breast control to allow for some jiggling when needed, or just for isolated control of the chest, which will be very important. That's a very important thing that has to be done. It'll probably be done with an advanced skeleton custom control. So we'll see when we get there. Let me continue this smoothing to clean things up. Just a small tip, right? If you have so many joints, like we've seen with the knee, influencing a set of vertices, right? Rather than just going back and forth and smoothing to redistribute, which produces these weird artifacts, you want to make the brush really small and just contain your smoothing to smaller areas. If you extend beyond that, you start making a mess of stuff that you've already fixed. So just remember that it's almost just like sculpting in ZBrush. As you refine, you want to make the brush smaller and prevent yourself from making these broad strokes across the entire mesh. Confine your sculpting to specific regions just to fix them. All right, so I'm just going through and fixing these weird artifacts that are there. It's just too many things here, almost 6 to 7 joints trying to fight for the influence of the same vertices. I think I've done enough on this torso. Right now, mostly using these FK controls to test it, but some of them I do end up with some poses that are not really real. When it comes to the spine, realistically, you have the lumbar, thoracic, and the cervical. And the lumbar does most of the bending, right? The lower you are on the spine, the more bending you have, bending like this and forward. And then the higher you go, specifically on the thoracic spine, it's more responsible for twisting. So when you're animating, you have to keep that in mind. You don't want to grab like the thoracic and do too much bending, because that's not a real thing. I've cleaned this side and I'm about to mirror to the other side. And then the cervical does both. It does the bending and the twisting. All right, so that's something you should consider. Check out lumbar, thoracic, cervical range of motion, and you'll find some information about how they behave. I prefer testing out the spine with the IK control because that's more often than not what I'm going to be using during animation time. It does a better distribution, and you'll see it distributes the deformation a lot better, so you don't get any weird results. But if you do decide to use the FK controls, just keep in mind the things I said about how the range of motion is for this spine. One of the very important things I'm going to do at the corrective deformation portion is folds. So when you bend and twist your torso, there's some folds that are happening, some creasing. So I'm going to try to get most of that stuff in. But for now, yeah, this is good enough. This is a functional spine skinning, right? It works pretty well. And definitely the chest, I like the way it's moving. I like that the breast tissue is all going with the chest. You can see more how much of a better job it's doing when I just use the FK control. So it's going with the chest, and there's a nice distribution down here, and this one is a broken one. So this is the one that needs the mirroring. So I'm going to do the mirroring right now, and I'm going to do this the way I did it previously, where I have this stuff selected so you can see the mirror actually occur correctly. So I'm going to, with my same mirror settings, I'm going to go apply. Yeah, and everything from here moved to there, so it should be good now. And if I rotate, yeah, both sides of the breast tissue behave correctly. So that's it for the torso, and the only thing that's left now is this hip region, which I did say was the toughest part to do. We're about to see if there's that much work to be done on it. And then we can start rigging the head so that we can finalize all the skinning on the head. So let's move to this pelvic region.